Hello, everybody. We are back with episode 2 of Uranium Talk, talking all things uranium. I'm Jungle Funk from the Chart Guys, and I'm joined here by Chris, Red Devil. Chris, how you doing today?
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, man. We've got some exciting things going on around the market right now. We had, at the time of recording, it is Monday, November 14th, and we had a big old bull move across the markets on Thursday on some positively received CPI numbers. And now everybody's just kind of riding the wave of that. So we'll see how long that momentum can stay around. But as far as talking uranium, we've got some other exciting stuff involving China and CCJ. You want to give us the lowdown?
Yeah, so real quick on those CPI numbers and everything. The uranium FinTwit community was a little bummed out because it didn't take the runs that everything else did. But to be expected, it still held on, right? And maybe it's just money that's rotated out a little bit into these other sectors, which are getting their run. So it's actually fine. But with CCJ, they came out with an interesting announcement last week that they've been contacted by China to contract pounds. So, this was always part of the bull thesis that we were talking about, not necessarily CCJ in China, but we wanted to start seeing long-term contracts rolling in. And that's what we're kind of starting to see here. We've got a couple of companies, Energy Fuels, UUUU, had some contracts that they announced that they got signed recently. Now, CCJ has got some contracts that they've signed with China a little bit, not to mention that they've gotten some of their mines starting to get up and running again. So good signals for the bull thesis for the sector over the long term.
Wonderful. That's exciting. I'm gonna pull up the chart here and we'll kind of just look at CCJ while you tell us more about it and what it's got you thinking. And
Yeah, yeah. So
basically,
go
just
ahead.
to touch on the chart here real quick, we pretty much have a tightening range on CCJ. We know that we are looking for this monthly high or low, but until this tightening range that we're in, when we look back at the weekly, if it's going to have to break to the upside to get that monthly high or low set. So the question will be, we can zoom in a bit further here. Do we set a 2-day lower high and continue to tighten, or are bulls able to get up and through that resistance? So we'll just stand by for now. There was some initial red flags on Friday as the broad market closed at the highs. We had this upper wick, and then a bit this morning as CCJ entered daily consolidation while the market was still up at the highs. But now we've got CCJ up at the highs while the market has a bit of an upper wick. So kind of just passing this torch back and forth. So we'll just have to wait and see which direction this range breaks.
Yeah, good sign as far as I'm concerned, because we don't want the contagion coming back into the space. So I like the way it looks. It's not strong, it's not weak, it's just kind of going sideways, right?
Just doing its thing. Yeah, I mean, can't complain about being sideways at the macro highs when so much of the market is down big time off those highs.
Yeah, so with this CCJ thing, it kind of got me thinking, and I kind of got thinking about because I'm a speculator in a sense. So with CCJ contracting pounds for China, now we know that China has already said they're going to build at least 350 reactors,
Yeah.
and these guys are so good at what they're doing, I guess, because they're banging them out. Like they're projecting that they can build like 10 to 12 a year. So they're going to need a lot of uranium, and can CCJ handle the entire load? Maybe. But here's the deal. It had me thinking, like, where else would China be looking for uranium? So I think Africa might be one of those spots. So there's a couple of names that I've told you about, Joe, and I think that maybe they're worth a look. So the first one's going to be Global Atomic. And if you could just pull up that chart
Yeah.
while I do a little talking here. Okay, so Global Atomic, what do you got there? You got now they trade on the TSX under GLO, and they also trade on the OTC GLATF.
Yes.
So they they've also had some pretty significant news last week that they're breaking ground on their mine, their Dasa mine in Niger. Now, there are people, entities, institutions, whatever, that think that Niger is a little bit of a higher risk play. But you know, we're going to link this to you. There was actually a very good presentation by Stephen Roman, the CEO of Global Atomics. Now, I have a particular affiliation to Global Atomic. I like them a lot, and I really do like the CEO. So we'll link that in for you if you want to look at it. But the guy's a no-nonsense guy, and it seems so far that they've been very shareholder-friendly, trying not to dilute. They really don't have much in the way of debt, and they have a zinc operation in Turkey, which is one of the largest zinc operations in the world, and that's doing a lot of funding for them. So Global Atomic would be the first on my list of African uranium plays that I think that you should be looking at. What do you think the chart's looking like, Joe?
I mean, the chart's looking good when we check it out compared to the other major miners over here. We can see that it's up much closer to the highs than pretty much everybody else. So it's certainly showing relative strength. So that was just a quick click through the majors over on this side of the globe. And when we go back and look at Global Atomic, we can see we're just well, I guess it's deceiving looking this far out. We're still 30 or 28% from all-time highs, but when you look at the retracement size on this bounce, it's showing clear relative strength. So
yeah, I mean, that's been my experience as far as just playing the name, because it's just been a grinder for me. You know, I'll trim out once in a while on some strength, and I'll re-add here and there. I'm still holding a position. I'm going to probably be holding a position for a while until we see how things play out here. So the next one that I'm thinking about is Paladin. So Paladin trades on the ASX, and it also trades on the OTC. PDN on the ASX and PALAF on the OTC. Now, I've got to give you a little bit of a heads up for most of you people out there. The ASX is not always participating in the DTC. So most brokers are charging a $50 commission on these things. So you got to check your broker.
And that would just be the AS if you're trading right on the ASX. That wouldn't apply to the OTC.
If you buy the OTC ticker, you get banged out with a with that $50 fee. So for example, I have Fidelity and I have TD. So Fidelity for sure has been doing it, and TD just announced that they're going to be reinstituting that fee. They haven't done it yet, but I think it's coming close.
Okay, so certainly more of a swing mindset than with a name that is going to have commission like that.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah, as far as uranium names, Paladin Energy here is really one of the strongest in the batch of anything that we've seen. So got bulls up at the highs, nearing that monthly resistance. Actually didn't even begin consolidating on the monthly. And this was in one of our monthly downtrend crew categories. And we basically have bounced back up and currently have a double top here up at 96 cents. 97 was our previous monthly lower high, and our current high is 96. So bulls retracing nearly the entirety of that move down there. So that's the strongest looking chart that I've seen. And we can see just the percentage on the day here. We're up at 4.17%, while everybody else is quite red. Now, granted, this is trading different hours over on the ASX, but we will have to look and see what we get for everybody else. I guess we only got 9 minutes left before the end of the day, so.
While we're sleeping, they're trading. So it should be just noted, you know, they started up their Langer Heinrich mine in July. So they're in Namibia, which is considered one of the safer jurisdictions in Africa. They're also in Mali, and they have some spaces in Australia, I believe. Now, Australia is not the most friendly place for mining, but the Namibia mine is really what everybody is kind of focusing on with Paladin. Now, if you really look back all the way back to the last big bull run, you'll see that Paladin was there. So it's a bit of a testament to the company itself because they survived the whole bear raid that lasted a decade.
Yeah, that's quite a accomplishment when you consider that it was just, I mean, the sector was decimated from top to bottom. So I imagine a large percentage of players that were around back in 2010, 2011 didn't make it to 2022.
So the next one, Bannerman Energy, another name that trades on the ASX. So again, you're going to have to double check with those commissions, but BMN on the ASX and BNNLF on the OTC. Again, another Namibia mine. Okay, they have their eTango project, and there's a lot of chatter out there. That's a pretty good project. So that would be another one to keep an eye out. You know, Brandon Monroe, CEO, well liked, well respected in the industry.
Right on. As far as the chart, it's another one that we don't quite have the same relative strength as the others, but we've got a clear attempt to shift some momentum. It was part of the monthly downtrend crew as well, and now we're working our way up to monthly resistance at 249. So you can just kind of see the kind of shifting of momentum in the space after confirming some monthly downtrends. That's supposed to be a signal of continued bear control. And like on this name, we only broke support by a skosh there, right into a bounce. And now we've got bulls trying to turn the ship around. So looking good there.
So is skosh an actual TA term, or is that just something that you're off the cuffing right now?
Yeah, if you go to Investopedia, there's a
Yes,
page
it's
on
on
it.
there. It's on there. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. What else are you looking at here in the afternoon?
All right, last one, and this is highly speculative, and it's an explorer. So, you know, in the mining world, explorers are, you know, they're the highest risk, highest reward, supposedly. Okay, so, you know, maybe a later cycle mover, who knows? Okay, but it's Govix. Okay.
Okay.
GXU on the TSX Venture and GVXXF on the OTC. So they also have some properties in Niger. They have Mali, they have Zambia, and, you know, again, these are undeveloped. They've got some drill holes, they've got some results. I suggest that you, if you're looking at something like this, you go ahead and you go to their websites, and all of these companies go to their websites and see exactly where they are in the process. Now, remember, you could always go to the Reddit room, Uranium Squeeze, because despite the way it sounds, there's some good due diligence on that site as well. What's the chart look like, Joe? Because I haven't actually looked at it in a while.
Well, it's certainly one of the weaker names in the sector. It's part of the monthly downtrend crew. We have our lower highs and lower lows on this monthly time frame. Now we've got bulls trying to stick a foot in the ground, basing here at 21 cents. We've got multiple bottoms there, and they're going to need to get up and through 25 cents if they want to have this multi-bottom stick. So it certainly files into the category of being a laggard style play where we do just have this relative weakness. And if we see strength come into the sector, see some of these monthly downtrend names confirm uptrends, then that's when we can kind of look around to some of these names that are performing weaker. And typically when you're doing that, you want to see some sign that the laggard move is on, because there is always the possibility that this weakness just sticks around and it continues to kind of be a stinker. But once you kind of get some little technical signal of breaking some daily resistance, breaking some weekly resistance, you know, and that just comes down to aggression level. Like a more patient bull is going to wait for some form of monthly confirmation that we've got a laggard move on the way. But a more aggressive
So,
bull might just act on the daily or something like that.
so what if it just breaks resistance by a skosh? What would you do then? I mean, what would be the play here?
If it just breaks resistance by a skosh, then that's a bit of a red flag, because anytime you're getting
Uh,
a technical signal, you want to see follow through. It's either way. Like
Absolutely,
if you get this signal,
100%.
you know what. So you got the signal, but you know what now is supposed to follow. And if that doesn't follow, then that's often a signal to look the other way. So I'm assuming you're probably just ribbing me a little bit, but
No, no, I would
good
never do
lesson in
that.
there
I would
with that.
never do that to you on a public forum like this. Never.
All right.
So listen, that's all I've got today. It's speculation. This is just a thought process in my head. China needs to get more pounds, a lot more. And we already know China's act. They like to hoard commodities. So is it worth it to take a look? But yeah, it is. Do some due diligence, look at the charts, see where your longer term supports are, and play it from there. Just be aware that the names that are trading on the ASX are most likely going to have that $50 commission fee, which is restrictive, especially with someone like me who likes to trade around the core, where I like to trim out and move smaller positions and buy smaller positions. So just be aware of that. But I would be thinking about these African uranium plays, because I feel like that's going to be the spot.
Right on. Well, thank you for the insight on that. And honestly, it's nice when you have like a fundamental roadmap of like, okay, well, maybe this is the next place we could be looking. But then you also go and look at the charts and it's like, wow, these are also some of the strongest charts in the space. And then you kind of start connecting dots, and it makes it a lot easier to get in like a speculative sense of like, maybe we've got China targeting these African miners. It makes it a lot easier to do that when you have a name that is looking like how Paladin Energy is looking, or Glow. Just nice relative strength. So that's where we'll end it this week. We'll check back in
Just
next
remember,
week.
guys, just remember, fundamentals tell you where to be. Technicals tell you when to be.
That is the key. That is the key to all of this. So right out. Well, Chris, thank you for your time.
Over and out.
Over and out, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a good week of trading.